Yeah, I think we can just restart.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start that again. So what is your name and where are you?
I am Eugenio Molini and I am just now in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay. And as you know, the first question is, who are you as a person, as a human being, your values, your qualities, and whatever it is that you feel like you'd like to share about what moves you.
I I was born in a national Catholic dictatorship in Spain, and I think that always, as long as I remember, I have been always asking why and trying to change things. No, during the first 30 years in my life, mostly driven by anger, no, and anger against what I perceived was oppression, and it was, of course, no, and that earned me. When I was 17, I was 1 month in jail because I was caught by the police in the first political demonstration I went to. I think that if the police had just beaten me and sent me home, I would have been so afraid that I wouldn't have moved done anything more. No?
Would have been your first and your last.
Yeah, but the thing is that they put me in jail, and then I was in the cell with somebody that had got 40 years 40 years in jail for political reasons. No, so of course that was a very intense school in how to continue to be angry and continue to try to abolish the dictatorship. No, so. So that's just one of the anecdotes of why I was so angry, no? Or it's difficult to know what's why and what's consequence and what's cause and what's consequence, no? Because so, and then so angry as I was and looking at what Spain was becoming after Franco died, I moved to Sweden when I was 20, and the thing is that as any new, without any contacts, without knowing anybody, no? So as most immigrants, I ended up without an environment to be angry against. No, there was nothing I could be. I could be a lot of angry, but I couldn't direct my anger anywhere. No. So I ended up in a very deep personal crisis, and that's how I came in contact with Gestalt therapy. Because during 2 or 3 years, I was the only real nourishing social contact I had was in a therapy group. No? And so I can say that Gestalt therapy saved my life at that moment. No? So
would you say that you're an angry person? I mean, is that a way that you would define yourself?
Not anymore. Not anymore, but anger is still there, simmering, no? But it doesn't kidnap me anymore. No?
So what are the parts of yourself that you sort of organize around or that you bring forward?
Nowadays, well, before it was mostly anger and all its ways of expressing it, no? Through sexuality, through everything, no? Work. So, but you know, at some point when I was 30, I sent my first invoice, and I don't know why my clients, organizational clients, wanted to pay me for being angry at them. No? I have no clue, but that was the origin of my professional practice as organizational consultant. No. That I was.
Were you angry or were you just critical?
Well, you know, to be critical is always a form of anger, no? So, but okay, it took many years for me to understand and several also very deep crises to understand that anger wouldn't get me anywhere, no? So nowadays it's mostly I would say, compassion. No?
Hmm.
So my anger was fueled by fear of being humiliated again and again and again, as the dictatorship and everything had done with me. No, so it was at some point I began to understand that okay, I need to be compassionate also with the oppressors and with the something like that. No, so I believe that I am more driven by compassion. Mm, and my special, based on my fear of being humiliated, the the special content of my compassion is uh, don't make my I not make myself bigger nor smaller than I am, occupying the right size. That's the best way of not being humiliated.
Mm-hmm. It's humility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And so would you say that there's a particular passion that also drives you now? Or is
Less and
compassion
less.
the
I
main
am
motor?
I am less and less passionate about anything, you
Oh,
know, because one of my experiences also, not only with myself, but all the years I have been supporting change agents, is that passion is passion by itself is a sure way to hell. No, because well, what happens when two passionate people meet? We either get in love or we kill each other, or we first get in love and then we kill each other.
mhm.
No, so passion that is not filtered through compassion is very dangerous.
Hmm. Okay.
So that's my experience. No,
Mhm.
so, you know, the world is full of passionate people that want to make the world to a better place, and they're making a mess of everything. Mm.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't deny there's a lot of messiness out there. That's true.
Yeah.
So I know I'm very aware that you just mentioned the arrest in that protest, but I wonder if anything else comes to mind as an event or as a set of circumstances, either within or beyond the dictatorship experience, that has really shaped you,
That is really
that has shaped you or impacted you deeply.
well. Yeah. If I follow this story of the fear of being the humiliation and so on, I can say that I could tell you many stories of humiliation, no, and so on. But I can also tell you stories of uh, of hope, like for example, what I told you in the first Gestalt therapy group where I was. Yeah, a member or uh, I got a lot of very much social nurturing and self-awareness and so on, and that formed me very much. No, but what comes most to mind is another deep personal and professional crisis I had for around 8-10 years ago. Yeah, in which a good friend that was Gestalt therapist and psychiatrist told me, "You are in such a bad shape that you need to go to a psychiatric hospital."
Oh,
And then I told him, I don't know where the idea came to me, but I told him, would you mind if I, instead of going to a hospital, I go to a monastery?
hmm.
And he said, it's okay. And then I called a monastery I knew. I told them my story from the office of the psychiatrist, my good friend, and they said, okay, you are welcome already tonight. So what I thought it would be some days or maybe a couple of weeks, it became 3 years.
Oh,
So 3 years dedicated only to healing myself, no?
hmm.
And with the support of this community. Hmm?
Hmm.
that has formed me very much, very much. No, the only medicine there, or the only treatment there, was the moment it hurts, you either go out to the fields to work on the fields, or you go to the chapel and you, if you believe, you pray, and if you don't believe, you meditate.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no other medicine and no other awareness work, just than that, no? So one thing I have understood is that all my years of being both a therapist and a client of therapy, both in groups as individuals, I have learned to understand myself. I have known myself, but I haven't healed anything. The healing happened in the monastery.
And how is that different? How do you experience that differently?
I never understood what my therapists or the Gestalt people I was working with meant with acceptance and surrender and giving up and so on. I never understood it. And it could never happen for me in a setting where it was only a couple of days, maybe a retreat of a couple of days, or once a week session, or that wouldn't have helped me ever. I needed a much more massive.
Yeah, 3 years, I think, I imagine just losing all of your structures.
Well, that's what they say. One of the way of describing the monastery for these people, this is an ego crusher machine. That was the secular definition of what life in the monastery is.
Okay, an ego crushing machine.
Yeah.
And so that was a way to healing.
Yeah. It was then when I understood, really understood, came down to my heart and to my existence and so on, the meaning of compassion, the meaning of love, the meaning of everything that I had never learned in all my therapies. I have heard, but never learned. No? And I have a hypothesis about most, not all, but most trainings in Gestalt therapy. I hypothesis is that the trainings train ourselves only halfway. No, that's what I see in many, well, in many meetings with colleagues. You see that there's a lot of pain going around, a lot of egos, a lot of so on, and there's very little compassion. And I think that is there is a specific way of being ego-driven that the Gestalt training brings forth. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to say more about that?
Well, yes, the message, and I think that it's a good message at the beginning of most Gestalt therapy trainings, is be yourself and come in contact with your desires, with your drift, with your impulse, with your energy, and so on. No, but they don't say, but not to give any message that gives more power to the introjects. They don't say the second part and take care of the other. Okay, and that is something that very few Gestalt, well, what I know, very few Gestalt therapy trainings encourage compassion. And I understand that there's always a period in one's personal development where you need to become like a psychopath.
Okay.
No?
Like the pure ego drive, no consideration.
To come in contact with your, because if you don't allow yourself to live out your darkest drives or so on, then you don't know what they are, the content of them. No, but then we finish the training. And then we go to professional associations, and we are a bunch of psychopaths. Well, I am exaggerating, no, but I think that there's a specific way of being of being fucked up that is specific Gestalt.
Hmm. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get more into Gestalt in a moment, but I'm also wondering, speaking of going beyond yourself, if there's another person who comes to mind as having been a particular influence in your life.
And there are several, no.
Is there anything you'd like to speak to?
Well, there are so many, there are so many. I have come to the insight that I haven't become who I am thanks to myself or my own efforts. It has been just through the support and the patience of lots of people, both men and women, but mostly men with me. I can think about this man that was my teacher when I was a kid. That when I was well, I have met him nearly once a year since I was 8, 9, no, and he has waited for me. He has kept his faith in me even in the years when I was completely out of my mind and out of my heart and out of my body and completely a crazy, well, just living out all my drift.
In your process.
Yeah, no.
So would you say teacher, was he actually a school teacher, or are you
Yes,
speaking in a different way?
He was my school teacher, yeah. He was that. No? And he was a good friend of my family, of my mother. And when I left the monastery, when he heard that I was going to move back to my mother's home because I didn't know where to go, no? Then he called me and he said, no, you are not going back to your mother, come to my home.
Oh.
So he opened his home, no, for me. So I lived there during 2 years.
Wow.
After, no? So he is one of those persons, no? But I can also say about this psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who when I started my Gestalt therapy training, I was working in a psychiatric hospital and I couldn't get any vacation for that. So I used all my vacations during the training, no? And when he heard that, he invited me for lunch and he told me, I hear that you are doing this training, and he was a psychoanalyst, no? That you are doing a Gestalt therapy training. I would like to support you. So from now on, you are allowed to go the training during work hours, and you will get a small subsidy for paying your fees.
Oh.
I didn't ask for it. I didn't expect anything like that. So there are so many small gestures for some people that meant so much for me. No. It's like the moment I came to the monastery, I parked. It's in a mountain, and you can't go with car up the mountain. You need to park down in the mountain and then climb. No. And when I was parking the car, I could see the abbot up in the mountain, 200, 300 meters higher up, against the sky. And when he saw me come out from the car, he just did like this, opened his arms.
Wow.
And that was the symbol for my 3 years there, no? Welcome, no? So I can, yes, or one of my trips to Sweden, I asked a colleague, I asked him if there was anybody that could rent me their apartment during the summer. It was for 3-4 years ago before I moved back to Sweden. And when I was coming through the door to the apartment of this colleague, she told me, Eugenio, I have heard that you are doing a lot of pro bono work. And I said, yes, who told you? Well, it doesn't matter, but I am not gonna, you are not gonna need, you don't need to pay anything for this apartment during this summer. So she just gave me as a present, no? So those are the people that come to mind when I think about what I have learned most from during the last.
Yeah. And that answer feels nice is not a good word, but it feels nice to hear that, because you're talking about acts and generosity and kindness, not about great teachers and ideas.
No. For
Very,
me,
very lived experience.
Yes. For me, it's a very big difference. I learn with and learn from. There's very few people that I really learn from, no? Nowadays, no? But I keep learning a lot with people, no? Just in conversations and so on. No? It doesn't happen so well. Yeah, it happens sometimes that somebody says something like, say, here are the keys of my apartment, and that removes me, puts in a better place many pieces of me.
Of course.
And that's real learning.
Yeah. Well, another question that I have for you, it's a fairly specific question. It's probably one of the more intimate questions that I would ask, and you're welcome not to answer, or to answer however you want, which is how you've come to experience and understand yourself within your gender, or as a man, or in your masculinity, what that is for you.
I think that I am the carrier of a very toxic masculinity. You know? So I think that most of my life I have been fighting on the one side towards letting my drifts and my anger and my takeover in my relationships with women, no? And on the other side, the understanding that that's not right, that's not the right thing to do. So that has been a constant struggle in my life, no? What I can say now is that I have come at peace, mostly, not all the time, mostly at peace with that, no? No, I come up with a story that I have a very good friend, a woman that also a Gestalt therapist, no, that she for some years ago she went into Tinder, one of these, no, and she asked me if I could coach her in her profile. How would she formulate herself? And I said,
therapy.
okay, I will, as a friend, no? So you send me your different profiles of your ways of describing yourself, and I give you my answer as a man, no? And it was fun, no? But then she told me, how would you present yourself? And say, I'm not going into Tinder, not at all. And then but let's play. How would you present yourself, no? And then it took me for a while, hours, no, to come back with a proposal and said, well, yes, I would write this. I have always looked for God between the legs of a woman. If God is between your legs, call me.
Okay.
That was what I would have written in my proposal, what I would have written in Tinder, no? So that's sort of resume. It's a very condensation of my relationship with women. No, I have always looked for unconditional love in the arms of a woman, and it's something that never happens. No,
Mm.
so I have been always disappointed.
Mm.
But the problem was not the women, as I understand it. It was about my aspiration. No, and that's what I have learned. No, I am a little bit regarding my privilege as a white male, etc., etc. That things I look into it sometimes. No, mostly when some woman reacts to me as if I was using master suppression techniques and so on. No, it would be strange if I wasn't a male chauvinist bully, having been, or I have traits like that, having been born um, and educated in a national Catholic dictatorship, no?
Mm.
Enshrined a specific form of masculinity. No, it would be strange, but on the same time, I think that I am not as bad as some of my colleagues and women around me perceive me. No, I think that I am also the object of projections. No,
We all are.
yeah.
Mm.
So that's something that I suppose that I will. I don't know. Maybe next life I will look into it in depth.
Okay.
I don't think that I have time to do that now.
Mm.
Now in this
Okay.
life.
Okay, well, you can get back to me in the next life with the continuation of your answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another question is actually changing track a little bit, which is when and how you found Gestalt or how it found you.
This what?
How did you find Gestalt? How
Well,
did you find it, or where did it find you, or what happened?
I was in, as I told you, when I came to Sweden, I didn't have any environment to be angry at. So
Mm-hmm.
I directed the anger towards myself. And I was in such a deep shit that a good friend told me, you need help. I know this guy, and he was a Gestalt therapist. And I began to go to a group.
Mm-hmm.
And this group was my whole social life during 3 years nearly.
Mm. And
Because
what did you find there that really kept you? I mean, I'm contacting you as a Gestaltist, I'm assuming years later. So what did you find that kept you involved with this? What captured you?
I think I would have been able to answer for 20 years ago. Now I have no clue.
Hmm.
I have no clue because I have got. It's a balance between all the good and all the bad I have got from Gestalt therapy as a school and from Gestalt colleagues and teachers and so on. So I can't say that it's been only good. I think it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what kept me. I can't answer that. No?
Hmm.
For 20 years ago, I would have said yes. Okay, of course, it saved my life. So then, but I am not sure if that's the answer now. I have no clue.
That's fair. And so what have you, I mean, it just hasn't been bad enough to leave?
No,
Or you haven't found anything that you, I don't
it
know,
has been
fell in
business
love
as
is the other
usual.
word, but.
It has been business as usual because my earliest experiences in life are that those that love me the most are the ones that put the highest price for their love.
Hmm.
And those that are most proud of me are those that humiliate me the most.
Hmm.
So coming to the Gestalt world, it's been business as usual.
Just like coming home, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Lots of love and lots of and paying a big price for being part of the whatever you call it, of the sect or the community or whatever, no?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is also like a sect in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And and also lots of encouragement, but also lots of humiliation and competitiveness and so on. No? So there was no change regarding this deeper level.
And so what have you done with it? I mean, if you've been here for 20 years and you haven't left and it's business as usual, what do you, 40 years, sorry. What do you do with it? What parts of it are relevant to you, or what is your specialty?
Do you mean professionally or?
Oh, I mean professionally or personally, but
Okay. The emphasizing on of awareness without needing to go to action. No? So if I think about the cycle of experience, no, I try to say slow down the energy build up after awareness. No? Both when I work and when regarding myself in connection with my clients, no, but also to my clients to say, wait, let's look more into that, no. So the thing is that today I don't identify myself as a Gestalt practitioner, not in public and not when I think about myself, no. I see myself more as a field practitioner or a field systemic practitioner, no? Because the way I see it, there are different things that different practitioners highlight different aspects of Gestalt, no? And I have chosen to highlight the field part, not the awareness part, no? But I also see that working with organizations, I can't work only in the field or off the field. I need to work systemically also from a systemic perspective. No? So, and the difference I make between system and field is very simple. No? A system and field are exactly the same thing, but the difference is how you experience them. A system, you experience it from the outside. It's an observer that defines this is what we are working with or studying or whatever, and the field you can only experience from the inside. And you then one of the things that happens in the field that you can never be in contact with the whole. You can only be in contact with what happens here and now. No? While from the systemic, you can make believe that you understand the whole. And to a certain extent, you can, no? To a certain extent. And that is very useful differentiation for when I am only perceiving here and now, and when do I need to get distance and do as if I was outside. And that I can do also with myself. No, I can see myself, I experience myself, and I can look at myself from the outside. No, and that's a training, a very important training. I think that really that we in Gestalt therapy trainings, we are not, or in Gestalt organizational development trainings, we are not specifically trained in that. No.
And is that part of what you do then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So go in, well, you know, for people that are all the time in the field and feeling things and so on, then I tell them, hey, wait, get out. Eh? So, and people that are all the time from the outside say, okay, let's go in.
Right. So, I mean, it sounds kind of like the field and the chapel in the monastery, no?
Yes. Yeah, I never thought about that. Thank you. That was useful. That was a useful connection. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wondering what comes to mind. It sounds like you've had some differences, but I'm wondering what you would say the greatest challenge that you've faced in the Gestalt world is, or you could totally leave Gestalt aside and answer that as a person. What one of the most significant challenges in your life has been.
haven't thought about that for so many years. About the biggest challenges as a Gestalt practitioner and in the Gestalt world. Well, I remember that one of my biggest, you say, struggles, no, was when I began to understand that deep within myself, I am not myself. No, yeah, I am the intersection of lots. Well, intersectionality is it's called nowadays, no, that I am also only the product or the intersection of lots of contexts and places and value systems and so on. So in the center of everything, I am not myself. No, and when I was struggling with this concept, but not only as a concept, but also as
an experience.
And as an experience, no, I got a lot of shit from my teachers. Lots of shit. Yeah. Because of course you need to get in contact with your inner core or inner child or whatever you wanted. They called them at the moment, no. And I said, but yeah, but that's not the center. That's only just another system of values that I am part of, no? And that it wasn't only theoretical discussions, it was fights for, I perceived it as oppression. No?
It sounds like a very existential kind of dilemma. I mean.
Yeah, of course, no? Of course, no? But it was also the moment I began to understand that this issue of come to your senses and lose your head and come to your senses, or something like that.
Yeah, lose your mind and come to your senses.
Yeah, that one. I began to understand, yeah, but that's only half of the story. No? And then when I was working on that, I got also lots of reactions. Then it wasn't from my teachers, it was most from my colleagues, no? So, yeah.
And so what is at the center? What is the human being? What is the person? What is the... Did you resolve that? I'm curious now. I would like to know the answer. Your answer, obviously.
It's the essence of our common humanity. You know? And that's something that where I am not a separate individual. I am in connection with both your joys. Your joys are my joys. Your pain is my pain. And I can be in contact not only with you, but through you, and through this conversation, I get in contact with the greatness and the misery of our common humanity.
And do you also experience that beyond the human experience? I mean, a lot of people also talk about, you know, expansion beyond the human self and connection with a larger world and natural world. And
yeah, I can say that after my 3 years in the monastery, I have become a reluctant believer in God, but very reluctant. Very reluctant. No, it's I am yes, but no.
So, you couldn't make it go away entirely.
No, I wish I could, but I can't. No. So it's a way of making it more simple for myself. No. But at the same time, I say it can't be only that. It can't be. I can't explain everything just by the existence of a God. No, I can't do that. No,
no, I think we certainly complicate things in a lot more ways than just God's will.
So what I believe, that's why I say I don't need to go to some external power and so on. It's good that it's there, but there's something that is our common humanity, no? And the more I am in contact with that, the better I will be able to influence others and the world and be present and so on, because it's not anymore about you and me only, no?
Mm.
It's about this deep existential layer,
Mm.
which everything comes together. Mm. And it's nothing that I have experienced more than maybe 30 seconds in a meditation pass every 3 years, no? But
Mhm.
but
Yeah, you're not walking around in, peak experience of awareness all the
no,
time. No. Mm.
it's muddling through all the time.
The human existence.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And what is on the other side of that, or is that the same answer even? I mean, what would you say is one of your peak experiences? What would be one of the most, I don't know if enlightening or fulfilling or
No, it's not that big.
Mhm.
It's not that big. I can say a peak experience was when I saw this abbot with the open arms like that. That's a peak
Mhm.
experience because there is concentrated the whole mystery of
Mhm.
our common humanity and of love and pain together.
Mm.
No? Mm. It is mm. When I ended up in fetal position in the arms of my mother when I was 55, no, for 54, no, and because I didn't know where.
Mm.
So it's in those things, no, that I can see the peak experience. No, it's nothing in the big one. It's nothing like enlightenment. No, no, no,
None of that.
no. It's much more down to earth than that. No,
Hmm.
it's the moment I can do something for somebody and make a difference. No?
I was going to ask about that. What about with others? What would you say has been one of those meaningful moments for you with another, either in a clinical setting or just an interpersonal meeting?
That's more difficult because most interpersonal meetings are we are both all the involved parties we are only muddling through, no,
Mm.
and in that muddling through sometimes it happens that the real truth of existence appears, no, the real connection with our deepest layers of being human, no,
Mhm.
and that happens very very seldom, no. I am working now with a team of we are 4 people, no? Trying to co-create something together now in this online world, no? And sometimes in our meetings, it's the magic happens, no?
Mm.
That we are really in contact with this deeper layer of our common humanity. So that happens, no? Hmm.
Yes.
That's the most recent experiences I have had in that team of 4 that we are working together and something magic happens. But it's not as big as enlightenment and so on. It's
Mhm.
just that there is a presence that is beyond us. No?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to put words on top of it. So. Hmm.
Please do.
No. Just sort of like the intention of actually creating something, maybe part of the ground that allows us to really show up.
Well, I think that it's a little bit more than that. No?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's that and the 3 principles we have adopted when we are together. And it's 1, take care of yourself. 2, take care of each other, of the other. 3, take care of the whole. the whole meaning the team and the project, no? And by balancing these three, then magic happens, no?
Mhm.
Because you take care of all the three things that are important, no? Yourself, the other, and the relationship, and the whole. In this case, the whole is the team and the project, no?
Mhm. I mean, it sounds like a way of keeping the psychopathic egos out of the
Yes,
space.
the three, but you need to balance the three, because if you go only in the direction of taking care of yourself, well, you know what happens.
Yeah.
No, if you take care of only of the others, then we also know what happens. If you only take care of each other and yourself, well, it can become a very warm community and a very, very loving and so on. But okay, it's like the womb of the mother. No? Nothing new happens. No,
You don't transcend that.
no. So, so I think that it's not only just that we are committed to create something together. It's also the principles, no? And that's my experience. That in order for in order for any organization to be healthy with at all levels, no, you only need three principles, and it must be variations of these three, adapted to each specific context, no. Yeah, and it's not to take care of yourself. It's not the same thing in a family than in a team, than in a profit-driven organization, no. In the end, deep inside, it's the same thing, no. But in the surface and the contract you can do with each other and the culture you can develop, it can have different ways.
Okay.
That's what I believe, and that's my experience.
Well, thank you. Well, the last real question that I have, is what's next? Where are you going? What is your interest? Where is it taking you? And that can be for yourself, it can be for Gestalt, it can be for both.
Well, I don't care much for Gestalt anymore.
I was noticing that.
As a church, or as a sect, or as a way of thinking and so on, no. I think that so I don't have any project for Gestalt, but I want to enjoy being together with people I have learned with, suffered with, and that have drink from the same tradition, no. But Gestalt as a school and so on, well, there are other people that are doing a good job, no? But for me, the next things are in the professional arena is to develop an online training, develop online the training I have been giving during several years for change agents, people that are driven by an inner motivation to make the world a better place, but so that it can do it with more impact and less pain. No? To promote change with more impact and less pain. That would be the professional challenge, or the professional intention I have, no? On the other hand, I am also moving in the direction that to give much more pro bono than I have ever been given, and I have given a lot, but much more, not because I have my economy solved for the rest of my life, because I haven't, no, just because I believe that that's the right thing to do, no? I have received so much from so many people, and I have come to understand that the most valuable things are always for free. They have no price, no? So I believe that what I have to give is very valuable, and I don't want to put a price on it, no? At the same time, I need to eat. So I am struggling with what's the what would be the right approach to that, to give the treasure and at the same time yeah, so
To not starve.
avoid diminishing the value it has by putting a price to it.
Mhm.
No.
Yep.
Because it's very easy to go down that path and then in the end price becomes value.
Mhm.
And that I don't want to end there. No? So that's where I am now.
Interesting. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything that you feel is missing from this conversation?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are missing, but I think that it's I am satisfied with what I have said, and nothing that I have said is a secret.
Okay.
So you can publish it as it is if you want, or whatever. And I am very thankful for your way of conducting it.
Well, thank you. It's been a lovely conversation. I mean, the candles in the background. This has been very nice. This has been a lovely way to start my morning. So
Okay.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay,
Should we
muchas
leave it here?
gracias. Ha sido
No,
un
de nada. Igual.